All right, you guys, are you ready for this? It is time. We are here at the start of the Radiant Acrylic Landscapes Masterclass and Challenge. This is going to be so fun, and I'm not here alone. I've got a couple great friends here with me, actually, and I wasn't planning to have Diana come on stage with us right here at the beginning, but she's here, and she's ready. So Diana, so awesome. And the Mr. Great Peter Stout.
Good morning, everybody, or good afternoon, depending on where you're coming in from. So happy to be with you guys today.
It's great. So many people from so many places. It's fantastic.
I even saw somebody from Africa, and somebody was saying, what time is it in Africa where you are right now? It's 9 p.m. there. So welcome. Saw all over Chile, all the states, all Canada, all over different places. So welcome. We're so glad that you're here. Diana is going to be teaching on Wednesday, but today, later in the session, we're going to do a Q&A together. So that's going to be a lot of fun. If you have questions, stay till the end for that. And Peter's going to be behind the scenes making everything run smoothly. And we're so thankful for the team. Yeah. So are you guys excited for this, Diana and Peter?
Yes.
Oh, yeah. Been waiting for it. It's great.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So guys, we're going to jump into this because we do have a lot of ground to cover. So I'm going to roll into the presentation here, but thank you for being here, Diana. Thank you, Peter. We'll see you guys in a little while.
Sounds good.
And
Okay.
let us go like this. I want to say, honestly, my name is Jed, and it truly is my honor to serve you today. We're here to serve you, and I'm here to serve you. I want you to know that from the start. And I also want you to know that you should really stay until the end because we're giving away a $250 art supplies gift card. And so stay till the end for that because that's going to be somebody's prize for just hanging out with us today. And this is the Radiant Acrylic Landscape Masterclass and Challenge. This is session number 1. And who is excited for this, guys? I want to see you type it in the chat. I'm excited because I see it right now. Yahoo. Yes. I love it. Yes, let's go. It is time. So while you're expressing your excitement, I'm going to show you guys a little bit more here about what we're looking at because we're in session 1 today. Wednesday, we have session 2. And Friday, we have session 3. And then we have a big celebration in exactly 1 week from today, but it will be in the afternoon for us. But next Monday is the celebration where we give away the bigger prizes. So every session, we're going to give away a good prize, but next Monday, we're going to give away multiple prizes. And so I have another question for you guys. These are the themes: bold brushwork, freedom with color, mastering light. And I'd love to have you answer in the chat, what do you want to learn about most? Is it brushwork? Is it color? Is it light? Where are you at in your artistic journey? What is the thing that you think, I'd really love to learn a little bit more about that. I'd love to grow in that area. I know for me, all of these things are incredible and amazing. I see brushwork, light, please, color and light, color, light, color, and light. Yeah. I mean, honestly, there's not a wrong answer. You're blending. So that would be brushwork kind of thing. Light and brushwork. Yeah, I see. Color, I see somebody says information, all of it. That's me. I see another person say, I need all of them. Yeah, the truth is, I see a lot of brushwork, which is good because today we're going to be talking about brushwork, but lot of everything here. So guys, stick with us the entire week because you're going to get all of it if you just stick with us. Today, of course, we're going to be talking about bold brushwork. Each session, guys, is going to be about 90 minutes. It's going to include instruction. It's going to have a demonstration. There will be prizes, and at the end, there will be a Q&A, because we know that sometimes you have questions that go beyond what we can answer during the demonstration or something like that. So make sure you stay till the end and ask those questions. Also, replays will be available throughout the workshop. Just go to radiantartchallenge.com. That's the place. You just want to stick that in your brain right now. I know a lot of you have already been there, but some of you might not have been to the dashboard yet. So make sure you go to radiantartchallenge.com. It's going to show up. And the other thing is, make sure you get into the Facebook group. There's 4,000 of you already in there right now. And that's the place where really a lot of the fun happens, is right there. You go to radiantartchallenge.com again, and you're going to start on this page that says start here. All you do is, there's a tab, there's a group of buttons over there. Click on the one that says Facebook group. You'll get into the Facebook group, and that's where you can see everybody's work. All the fun stuff that happens, everybody that has shared already, you can share your artwork, and there's a lot of encouragement and stuff that happens in there as well. So the other thing about the dashboard that's great is you don't have to go to like 25 different places. You just need to go to the dashboard, because every day you'll see, okay, bold brushwork, you click on that, you can see that there's a little button that says watch on YouTube, so you can rewatch things. You can also download the reference photo. You can get the supply list. And if you're on a phone, it's just going to look a little differently, but it's going to work the same. Just click on whatever button you want, and then you're just going to scroll down. All right. Sound like a good plan? I want to make sure that everybody knows those things at the beginning, because it will be very helpful for you as you journey through this challenge. I also want to share with you guys something that the amazing, the incredible, the brilliant Doug Greenman shared with us last time. And I really thought it was good. So I decided I was going to put it into my slides, because, he said it really well. But it comes down to having the right expectations for a challenge like this, a masterclass, a workshop, a challenge, whatever you want to call it. You've got to come in with the right kind of frame of mind. And here are some things that he said that I think are super helpful. You want to come in expecting to learn something new, that you're going to have fun, you're going to laugh, you're going to be able to celebrate art, you're going to be challenged beyond your abilities. You're going to meet new friends in the Facebook group. You're going to experience a positive learning environment based on mutual encouragement. And expect to be positive toward yourself, even when you're struggling. We're trying to avoid that negative self-talk that's so easy for each one of us to fall into. It's also really good to remember this. Expect to paint practice pieces that aren't your best work. Like when you go to a workshop, don't expect to churn out masterpieces. That's just unrealistic. You're learning, and it's part of the process. But also be surprised by what you can do. You might discover that you're actually able to do things that you didn't really expect to be able to. So be inspired by the work of the artists that are a few steps ahead of you, rather than being discouraged. It's really easy in a big group to compare yourself to other people. And so when you see somebody that's further along, don't compare yourself to them, but just look at it like inspiration, like, hey, if they learn those skills, if they're at that place, then I also can learn those skills and I can get there too. Come away from this experience a better artist, and wish you could experience this every week. I love that one, because honestly, if I do my job right, I really hope that this is the start of you experiencing a joy-filled, peace embedded, and beautiful creative practice that you don't have to stop at the end of this week. It can carry on for you. And with that in mind, I also want to let you know that at the end of this week, we're going to open the doors for Acrylic University. We have an amazing community, amazing instructors, amazing just experience that so many of you are already part of, but there's a lot of you who've been on our wait list, and we know you'd be loving to join us. So that's going to open up later this week. I would be remiss to not thank all the team, the moderators who are here, the Acrylic University family, and everybody behind the scenes that makes an incredible event like this happen. And I also want to say congratulations to you guys who are here. Either you're here live right now with us, or you're showing up and you're watching this after the fact through a replay, because you matter to us. And having you here means a lot. And I want you to know that you are meant to be here. Whether you came here like you just stumbled across it, or you've been looking forward to this for months, you are meant to be here. And we're really glad that you're here, because everyone has a story. And can I hear an amen? Like, yeah, everyone has a story. We all have gone through things. We have blessings, there's struggles, there's redemption, there's hope. And I just want you to be patient in this journey. Be patient with yourself and be patient with the process. Because honestly, I've talked to many people, and there's a similar thread that often happens in our lives. And so I'm going to see if you guys relate with this. You loved art as a child. You maybe even dreamed about a career in art. But one day you had to put your brushes away. You got a real job, quote unquote, real job. You raised a family, but that creative spark is still inside of you. And you are here because you still have dreams. And I just want to say that I believe in you, and we believe in you, and this is your place to dream and have fun. And I really mean it, guys. I am here for you. I want you to text me if you want to grow in your art. If you want to text me right now, 425-400-2094. And if you texted me one of the last master classes, don't text that number because I had to change it. This is the number that you want to text. So 425-400-2094, and tell me your name and tell me what is your goal in art. And I'm going to go through these and I'm going to respond to you. And it's going to be a wonderful week, guys. I'm super excited for it. I'm here with the incredible Diana Shine. We're both award-winning artists, but listen, we also understand the difficulties of creating art. Like, I mean, we've experienced it 1,000 times where you're just kind of having this struggle of creating. You know, it's not like every painting works out exactly the way you want every time. And I love it. I'm seeing messages come in right now. See that? I love it. Thanks, guys. But we want to say we're glad that you're here, and stick around till the end because we got a Q&A coming. Keep those texts coming through, guys. I'm loving it right now. I feel it coming. This is day one, and who is ready for it? Are you ready? Because you know what I want to see here. I need you guys to do two things at the same time. I need you to keep texting me, and I need you to say, yes, I'm ready. I'm ready. I was born ready is my favorite, because here's the deal. I see it. I see it. Born ready. There it is. That's my cue that I can move on. I need somebody to say that. I've seen this so many times. People say, I need to loosen up. And Carol said, I have a yearning to get looser, but I can't quite seem to gain the confidence to just do it, just to be a little bit more adventurous. And so it begs the question, like, what do you think that bold brushstrokes say about the artist? Like when you get up close to a painting and you just see these thick, big brushstrokes, what do you think that means about the artist? Like what about them allowed them to do those big brushstrokes? Yeah, fearless, confidence, committed. Oh, I like that word, committed. Yeah. Confidence, energy. It says experience, freedom, confidence, looseness. They're brave and confident. There's freedom. I mean, all those words are so true, right? And as I pondered this idea of becoming bold, like what does it take? You know, I thought about like, what's the most bold animal in the world? I mean, I can't think of something more bold than a lion, right? And I think that this is what we want to feel like in art. But I think that sometimes this is what we actually paint like. Because there's some problems that we face, and the problems are we don't know where to start sometimes. And so we don't even get going. And I can guess that this might be some of you, where you've had this desire to do art for a really long time, but you don't know exactly where to start. And so you go months or maybe even years without really doing anything. So that's a really big thing. Not knowing where to start, or we start off small and scared, or we get stuck after a really good start. We're afraid to keep moving on. We get paralyzed by perfectionism. We don't know when or how to finish. We overwork and get too detailed. We lose the freshness in our painting, right? Does anybody relate with any of these? Because I know that I have related with all of these at different points. So how do we get past this? How do we become bold? And honestly, the question that I have for you is, what if I could show you a way that you could paint boldly today? And I really believe this is true, that if you want to paint more boldly, you have to make a decision. Because I love this quote from Georgia O'Keeffe, where she says, "I've been absolutely terrified every moment of my life, and I've never let it keep me from doing one single thing." Like, she's saying, hey, I've been terrified for a lot of things, but I've never actually let it hold me back, which is super cool. Means we don't have to be held back. So question is, do you want to paint boldly? Do you want to paint like a lion? Then I think you do. Daring, courageous, big personality. Let's paint, feel the fear, and do it anyway. Yes. Then say this with me: I'm creative and I'm courageous. Because the big idea from today, and I know, guys, I just want to say this. I know some of you are like antsy and ready to go, and you're just like, let's paint, let's paint. But some of you are also scared, and this is like a big step. I know that when I have a workshop, there are some people that come very excited and very scared at the same time. And so some of this might be, not for you, but it might be for somebody else who's sitting next to you virtually, who's sitting there going like, I need the encouragement to start. So today what we're going to do is we're going to take our intention of being bold and loose. We're going to put a little bit of effort into it. We're just aiming that bow and arrow at the target. The target is to be bold. And we're going to find that there's actually a pretty easy way to do this. It's not as complicated as you might think. And so it's simply to use your biggest brush. Like, grab a big brush. I don't know if you can see this, but that's a big brush. You're going to grab something that's big, maybe a little bit scary for you to think about using, and you're going to use it as long as possible. Now, I want you to also type it in the chat and just say, hey, you know what? That's not that bad. Like, that's okay, right? You can do that. I can do that. It's if that is the key to being able to paint with more boldness, more looseness, it's actually not that complicated, right? So I am so happy to see Peter's back. His power went out for a second there, but he's back. Okay, awesome. Great idea. I can do that. Yes. Okay. Then we're going to jump into this. We're going to get started, but I want you to know all the replays, reference photos, supply lists, homework, and more. is at radiantartchallenge.com. So like right now, if you're going, I don't have the reference photo, go to radiantartchallenge.com and you will find everything you need there. And just so you know, you don't have to paint along with me right now. Sometimes the best way to do this is to watch and come back later and paint. But if you want to paint, now is your time. We will jump into the demo now, and we'll come back at the end with the prizes, and we'll come back with the Q&A. So stick around till the end. Let's roll this.
Okay, we are going to be painting these sunflowers that were growing out behind our house. And I have learned that I actually love painting sunflowers, and I think that they will work as a pretty good subject for bold brush strokes. And so I'm going to use my flat brush that is a number 6, and I'm going to do the drawing with this just to get the placement of the sunflowers and some of the bigger leaves and things like that. And I'm going to probably make some decisions on the background later, because I don't know if I'm going to put too much of the little house kind of related things in the background, like the windows and that. I might just make it a little bit more abstract back there, but we'll get some of these blocked in, or at least the shapes kind of in there with some just some darker colors. I'm probably going to use a mix of actually I'm going to mix up a little bit different color first, and then I might use a little bit darker color later. But I'm going to mix up something here. It's going to be more like a burnt orange. And so that's got a little bit of black in it, but it's mostly going to be the quinacridone red and yellow. So let me go over my colors real quick. I have titanium white, cadmium yellow light. This is quinacridone red, ultramarine blue, and Mars black. So really just a primary palette here. I'm going to mix my orange. I'm going to mix any violet that I have, and any green that I have will be mixed in between here too. So simple, but a really great way to learn how to mix colors, and also a lot simpler going to the paint store and making a purchase, because you only have to keep track of a few colors instead of like buying 30 or 40. So here we go. Got a big round face of a sunflower here, and it's probably something like this, and comes out. I love how they're catching some of this sunlight. We want them to go off the top, because we really, for design, we don't have those kind of, they say, kissing the edge of the canvas. That doesn't make it very pleasing. I need to pull this out just a little bit further, so I have a little bit more room on the back side. That comes out about there. Then we have another one here, and this one's angle is slightly different. It's turned more like that, and maybe a little bit smaller. And then it comes out like this. And then we have one more main one up in this cluster that's down here, and it's kind of facing downward like this, and it's got a stem that comes over down or up, I guess. And then it's almost like from the side that we're seeing that one. And a couple bigger leaves coming here. Might just make them shaped slightly different. Another leaf here. And then there's another sunflower here. And I think I'm gonna show some more of the sunflower leaves. Just to make it a little bit more visible. And then there's a big leafy thing here. Some more leaves. And I'm not, like I say, I'm gonna leave some of this. Oh, you know what? I just realized something. Oh my goodness. I think I'm seeing two sunflowers. There's a sunflower behind this one that's kind of difficult to see, but the stem comes up right there. But I think I'm just gonna leave that one out. Otherwise, I think it'll be a little bit confusing. Because I actually think that's some of what I'm seeing back there. Huh, I wonder if I should change that. I could change it, but I don't know. These ones that come down, I think I'll just leave it. Okay, so that's kind of the drawing as it is. Now what we're gonna do is we're gonna get out a big brush, okay? And so I want to, now that I kind of have the design in here, I wanna work as confidently and boldly as I can. It doesn't mean I have to work super fast. I'm gonna get some red, and I'm gonna get some black, and maybe even just a little bit of blue. We're gonna create some of these dark centers. We're just gonna come in with big brush strokes like this. And another one here. And that third one right here. And then there's even more. This one here. And let's see. I did have another one right there. Okay, I'm just looking to see if the darks are good enough. Get a little bit more blue on this one. Just a little bit more. Come up here. That blue, I think, will be kind of fun to see. It's really dark, so we're not seeing it too much right now, but I think it'll show up a little bit more later. Okay. The next color I want to work in, let's see, is there any more? Maybe I'll put a tiny bit of blue, the dark with the blue there, and who knows, maybe a little bit there. Okay, now I'm gonna wash that brush out. That is a big old brush, guys. So that's actually a size 20 flat, which, you know, on a 12 by 12 canvas here, that covers a fair amount of ground. If you don't have that big of a brush, you can use something else. This is a size 16. It's also a pretty big brush. Or you can, you know, use whatever you have. This is a size 12. And again, that's a pretty big brush. That's gonna actually be sorry, I'm moving some palette knives around there, if you hear that. But that's gonna be, you know, a bold brush mark if you use it like that. Even if it's a number 10 or a number 12, you can still use it boldly. It to some degree, it has more to do with how you use it than what it actually is. Now I'm going to I'm thinking here, I think what I'm going to do is get some of the, like a little bit more of the mix of orange, like the darker yellow. that we're going to have. I'm going to have some of this. I mean, it's kind of in various places, like around the outer edges here. Now this canvas is toned to neutral gray. I'm sorry that I didn't say that before. It's actually a gesso right here from Chroma. This is made in Vancouver, BC, and it's called neutral gray gesso. But it's actually made out of, I believe, burnt umber and white. So if you think that it looks a little bit more like a light brownish gray, that's why, because it actually has a burnt umber undertone in there. But with this color, I'm trying to get some of the darker shadow parts on the petals of the sunflower. And I'm going to actually mix in some green here in just a second, because I see some greens in here also that I think are going to be really pretty to put in. So I need to grab some blue, come up into this yellow a little bit more. And that green needs to be lightened a little bit. So let's add a little bit of white to that. And so like down here in this shadow area, this is where I see some of that green. And again, I'm really just trying to kind of observe what I see, but then maybe exaggerate it a little bit. And in this one right here, I see some more of that green. Like these petals look quite green to me. And I'm not being really, what would you say, like careful with, making sure that each brush stroke is perfect, but I am slightly trying to make them the angle or the shape. Like if a petal is coming off at that angle, I'm turning my brush. I'm often using it sideways to kind of emulate the angle of the petal. Sometimes you might see me use it like in the actual direction, and sometimes you'll see me just drag my brush across. But I am paying attention to that. I'm not just willy-nilly putting my brush strokes down. I'm kind of thinking about what might make it look like it's a sunflower petal. I'm just not trying to, perfectly put them in. I'm trying to artistically put them in. So I'm grabbing some more of this yellow. This is going to be the light highlight eventually, like as I get more and more into this, we'll almost be putting this down purely and maybe even mixing in a little bit of white so that it's even more colorful and brilliant. But right now, we're just working our way up towards the highlights. And I'm looking around to see where are these places of light hitting the petals. I'm going to bring a little bit more of that orange again, because up here I see some lighter areas, warmer yellows. But you can kind of see it's not necessarily looking perfect at all. That's not the goal, right? We have to get past that perfectionistic kind of part of our brain that is really, in some ways, it's going to be our it's gonna like hold us back from being more creative, and we have to kind of embrace, okay, this is not perfect. I'm not trying to make it perfect. I'm trying to make it art, trying to create and have fun and explore and experiment. And therefore, I'm not going to give in to that tendency to overwork and just get caught up in all the little things, the details that they'll end up enslaving me, you know? And even right there, some of these brushstrokes that I just made, I was doing exactly kind of what I was saying I don't want to do. I want to be more like this. Go, okay, that's the boldness I'm looking for. Not trying to make every brushstroke perfect. I need, more than anything, I need to try to get the length of these. Now I can cut them back, but that's probably a little bit more important than, and just like thinking about how does the length of the petal help or hurt the shape and the angle that this is supposed to be pointed, right? Because that's what I'm seeing is like this one's flatter, this one's a little bit more rounded, then this one's down, you know. So how are we working with that to make those little nuanced parts more interesting, right? Because if they're all exactly the same, we don't want that. It's going to be more boring, less interesting. And I'm going to bring up some of this back here. I'm going to say it's simple, but I'm not. There's quite a bit of that. And then I'm going to get a little bit more green because right in here, I think I went too bright right there. Okay. Now, after this, we're going to come back. I'm going to do a few more brush strokes here. Let's get this one in a little bit more. And then I want to get the green leaves, some of the green leaves. They'll be important for us. Some of them they're actually quite bright and colorful. And I don't have the colors on my palette to make the brightest greens, but that's okay. They will be bright enough. Ultramarine blue is not the brightest blue. Like, it's not going to mix the craziest of greens. But like I said, it's going to keep everything harmonized, and it's going to work really well in the end. Okay, just looking for actually some more of the highlights of the green right now, and then I'm going to make it a little bit darker. Add a little bit more blue to that green and come in with some shadows. Just really in this kind of painting, you know, trying to stay bold and big and forcing myself by using my biggest brush to not get out of that mode. If I stopped using this brush, I could get more detailed for sure, but I would immediately get more tempted because I'd have the ability to do more that's really small and refined. And so by just holding this brush and saying like, no, I'm still using this, I'm kind of forcing myself to stay in that mode. And that's as simple as you could ever be. If you want to paint more boldly, just use your biggest brush. It's just the easiest way to do that. Okay. I'm looking now. Sometimes I don't wipe off the paint off my brush completely, but sometimes I'll do this just if I want to change that color a little bit more, and then I can pick up some of these various colors. But there was still a little bit of the green on there, so you can see how it's mixing this orange to be a little bit more like a brown. And I see some in here that's kind of more that color. Oh, and I did miss some green right in here. But I'm just thinking about where there's some of those petals that could be kind of this orangish color. Okay, now I'm actually temporarily, I just set down that brush. Let's see, I might just wash it out now, because I don't think I'm done with it quite yet. So I've kind of washed it. I'm drying it off here. And I'm just looking and trying to differentiate where different things are coming from. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab some white and some of the green that's here. There's a few places where there's very light highlights kind of on the edges of the plants and these leaves. As the sun's coming down, it's hitting them. And that's going to be nice. I'm doing it right now because I might have to redo some of this, like I might have to redo some of this later. But I might be able to maintain some of it also as I do the background. So because right now what I think I'm going to try to do is get most of this foreground and then come with some big brush marks again with the background color and just kind of get some general color for the background and see if I can carve out these big sunflowers in an interesting way. So I'm going to get a little bit of the yellow in here to see if I can get a little bit more of a yellow highlight. Well, actually, that's mostly on this one, which I determined might be, it's not the sunflower that's closest to us. So I'm gonna kind of bypass that exact one. This one here has some highlights on it. And this one up towards the top, I need it to be more orangish, but there's some lighter colors still in here. And I'm going to put some of that in. Okay. And I'm getting close on this to, I think I'm getting pretty close to move toward the background. Yeah. I definitely like the feel. There's a nice feel to this. I think you might have to envision it sometimes. Like sometimes I have to kind of squint my eyes and imagine, okay, well, what would it look like if I put in the background? Because sometimes it's hard to. You have to have a vision for your work. And sometimes if you don't know where you're going, it's hard to have a vision, right? So if you're brand new and you're thinking, I just can't see this. I don't see anything good happening. You know, I just encourage you to keep painting, to keep going, keep working your way around, because sooner or later you're going to discover like, oh, I can kind of see it a little bit better. I always liken it to going to a new city and trying to find a way around versus having lived there for 5 years and you know all the shortcuts, all the ways around, you know how to get from one point to any point in the city. Like, it's not a mystery anymore. It's just because you've traveled it a bunch of times. And it's kind of that way with painting. The more times you take a painting from the start to finish, the more ways you know how to get around that city, and it's less confusing for you. And I've been painting for long enough that I can kind of see. I don't always know exactly which way I'm going to go, and I don't always see the exact end product. I'm not that good at visualizing it, but I know that there's a way forward, and if I squint my eyes a lot of times, I can kind of see certain things. So I've gotten out now a smaller brush. This is a number 10, and I have my number 12 here. And I might bring my biggest brush out again, but I think that I might just use my number 12 for a minute and try to use it in a bold way. And just see what we can do here. So, because it might help me get in between certain leaves and petals easier, just a little bit easier. So I'm going to mix a little bit of red into this blue. Now that's a really dark violet type of purple. So I need to lighten that some. And might be too purple. I need it to be a little bit more gray. So by mixing in a little bit of yellow, it's going to make it a little bit more gray. Because if you mix all three of your primaries together, it automatically is going to be like your complement color is going in there, and your complement color always leads you towards the middle of the color palette where your grays live. Okay. So some of the brush marks are going to be a little bit careful as I look back and forth, but they're going to be careful in the sense of intentional, not so much in the sense of getting fine and super detailed, that kind of thing. Just trying to be very thoughtful and intentional about where they're going. So see how I'm trying to shape these petals on this side, and I just saw that that one was, it was basically kissing that side of the canvas, the panel, and I didn't want it to go right to the edge, so I cut it back a little bit. Hopefully you're starting to see this. Okay, now I'm going to come down here where we've got this other sunflower coming in, and I'm going to try yes, I'm actually really liking this. This is very fun. And do you see how now with the darker background, we're starting to see, okay, yeah, that actually, like some of those highlights look more like highlights now, things like that. Now the trick is, as I'm going, how am I going to make this, like this area, a little bit different? So what I'm doing right now is I'm adding a little bit more white in here, because I want this to feel kind of like it feels in the picture, where there's light coming from up here, and it's making this like it has a little bit of an atmosphere, right? And I just really do like the way that some of this is. I just have a good feeling about how it's going to look as we keep working. You just kind of keep working the plan. Keep working the plan. Some of the colors are going to get mixed up a little bit, and that's okay too. Like what I mean is some of the yellow gets mixed in with some of the violet color, and it kind of like muddies it a little bit sometimes. But I don't want to, I actually don't mind that, and I don't mind it being a little bit like I'm not going to necessarily try to blend everything perfectly, but I want it to feel like it's not pasted in there, like nothing's, like I need it to, like that gradation kind of makes sense. And part here is I probably will add a little bit more blue in here, maybe a little bit more violet. Now there is a window back here, so I could just make a little impression of a window. even by just creating like a line that goes across here. Like it doesn't always take that much to make an impression of something. Okay, so to do that part, I might actually then make another lighter area and just go like this. I'm just kind of guessing at what I should do with that. There's, I can see some light through that window. Not sure what exactly I should do with this here, but I'm just gonna put down some color and see what it kind of looks like. If it doesn't work, I know I can probably just come back and make it some more of the darker color. But I feel like maybe having the variety there will be kind of interesting. And so that's what I'm doing now. Just see what happens. Okay, more of the dark. And I'm really mostly just working on filling in areas. Kind of cutting around these shapes still. Trying to get rid of some of that gray color. Yeah, some of it back here, the reason that the gray, I'm trying to get rid of it now is because it's actually one of the lighter colors. So I'm going to grab one of these darker mixes. I'm adding a little bit of black, a little bit of blue, a little bit of red, and I'm just going to go around, and it might be too dark, but sometimes I just think of this as erasing or editing, like kind of at a certain point, using a color that's fairly neutral to the painting. Yeah, so we kind of like this, I think this kind of works. It's a little bit weird in here because we've got a kind of a window that's a bit lighter in value. I might come and try to blend that a little bit together. So does that give the impression of a window? Yeah, I think it does pretty much. Is it as good as if it was just kind of more of a dark color? That's the question, right? That's the question. So we might be better off if it was all just kind of dark back there, maybe. But then again, I don't know. I kind of don't mind it. There's a couple places here that I think I should bring back some of the leaves or petals from the sunflower, like in here, where it doesn't seem like they remain. And I think that it would make sense for them to be right there. So let's go like this. Maybe put a little bit of white in there. Yeah, that was where I had some of that green color before. Maybe I'll try to bring back a little bit of that green. Let's get some. But the whole time I'm still thinking about the kind of brushstroke that I'm making. I'm really trying not to get too detailed here. I'm trying to let it stay big and bold. Big and bold. Okay, I'm gonna make a couple more quick brush marks to show some of the stems. I have a little bit more green, darker green. Tie a few of the things together, and there we go. I quite love this. I quite love it. I think it accomplished what we were going for. I think that we have a bold painting. It looks pretty much like the feel of the painting. Just seeing a little bit of that gray sneaking through here in a couple places where I think we could get rid of it just a little bit more. I'm going to shape that thing just a little bit. I kind of like that brighter red in there though. So let's bring some of that back. Some of that down here. Again, that gray undertone is a nice color, but in this exact painting, it's a little bit light, so it's showing up in some of these areas where I don't really like it showing up. But again, hey, good job, guys. This was a lot of fun. Thank you so much for joining me. And don't sunflowers just make you happy? I mean, they've got to be the most cheerful flower in the world. I will see you guys next time. Okay, there we go. Sorry, I was muted. But thank you guys for being here. And I love how people, I get a kick out of all you guys like, I love the window. No, the window should be darker. No, it should just be a black background, whatever. It's fun to see all the opinions. And why I like it is because you can paint your own painting and you can do it exactly how you want, right? And art really is unique to the person who paints and their view of beauty, and also kind of in the moment what they see and what they can evaluate, right? Because sometimes you step away from something, you see it a little bit different. But here's the deal, guys. All the replays, reference photos, like we said before, go to radiantartchallenge.com. They're all going to be there for you. We're going to give away a prize here in just a minute, so make sure you stick around here. There is some homework if you are, registered for this and everything. You want to do this, win prizes, everything. Choose a reference photo. You can either choose the one that I'm giving you, this sunflower, beautiful sunflowers. I mean, come on, guys. Aren't sunflowers the best? They really are. You're going to paint whatever the reference photo that you have, mine or your own. Take a photo of it, share it in the Facebook group, and then come to session 2. Make sure you chat in the live chat. And as you're getting into your painting, I want to remind each one of us the stages of the creative process, because it's very helpful, again, with expectations. The beginning stage is, this is awesome. And then, this is tricky. This is terrible. Bleep. I am terrible. This might be okay. And this is awesome. If we stick with it, guys, we will come out the other side. But usually there is that middle section of the creative process that kind of, we face some doubts and we face some things. So remember to tell yourself this: I am creative, I am courageous, and go into your artwork with that in mind, because we're trying and we're intending to be bold with this, and that takes a lot of courage, and it takes the intentional effort too. And then, of course, guys, come back on Wednesday. Diane is going to do the Freedom with Color session. You're going to want to be there for that. I'm reminding you again, I kept feeling my phone just go crazy here with like lots of text from you guys. So make sure you text me 425-400-2094. Tell me your name. Tell me what your goal in art is. And I'm going to be on your side fighting for you, and I'll get back to you. It is time now for the giveaway, though. Are we ready to do this? I'm just thinking, Peter, you should come on stage with me, man. You should come on stage for the giveaway.
All right.
Nice. Today's prize is a $250 gift card. Who's ready for this? I'm going to do this now. Yeah, so am I. Let's do this. So here's the way that it's going to happen, guys. So if you want to win this prize, this is as simple as it gets. You just need to chat right now in the chat. Say, I want to win.
you don't have to say that exactly. You just have to say something, because we're going to choose a winner from the chat. So we're going to give you, like 30 more seconds here to make sure that you have time to get your name in the jar. And then we're going to be pulling out a name, and we're going to be giving away that $250. And this is where I want to do this. Let's just go like this and see this. I want to see that chat flying. I don't know if it'll show it up as fast as it's going. But anyways, it's fun to see that chat, you guys.
It is. And we had over 2,000 people watching the event, which is crazy.
Yeah, absolutely. I love this. Okay. Pick me. I want to win. I'd like to win. Let's go. Love to win. Yes. Okay. I love it. I love it. I love it. Okay. So here's the deal, guys. I'm going to pick that winner. Let's go. Okay. Okay, here we go. You guys, are you ready for this? I'm going to come back and I'm going to type the winner's name right here. Let me just do this. Okay. Okay, you guys ready for this? 3, 2, 1. The winner is Terry Tracy. Yes, fantastic. Indeed. Yes, indeed. Okay. Awesome. So if you are Terry, make sure you write us at support@acrylicuniversity.com. We're excited to send you that gift card. It's a great thing here, and I guess the only prize or the only thing I've left really is we're just gonna move right into the Q&A. So Diana, welcome. Oh, I'm so sorry, I messed that up.
No worries.
I'm here.
There we go.
Very good. So you guys, if you have a question for us, Diana and I will be here. We will be trying to answer every question, and Peter's going to make sure that we stay on track. But if we miss something, he'll try to throw it out to us. So we're going to stick here basically as long as you guys need us to, because we want to make sure that we answer your questions. So thank you, Diana, for being here.
No problem. Most of the questions will probably be about stuff that you just painted, so you're the best answerer for that. But general stuff I can do.
Yeah, this is probably the most common question that I saw come through during this was, why do you paint the background after the foreground? And while a lot of times I just say it's because I like the way it looks, I will give you an answer that is specific to this lesson today about bold brushstrokes. So if you are painting with a really big brush, which is what I'm saying to do today to get those bold brushstrokes, if you've already painted your background and you've already put in everything that's supposed to be finished back there, and then you're coming with a big, bold brushstroke, I think that you actually might be more timid and more afraid to do that on top of something that is supposed to be finished. Because if you looked at my brushstrokes, they're not really refined. They're just big, right? But the thing about that is that if you come back later with the background, I can shape the edges of those petals. And I can shape the plants with the background. And it allows me to have the freedom to be more bold and decisive with those initial big brushstrokes. So in terms of boldness, I think that it's actually kind of helpful. In terms of the way that our brains think, and maybe the way that your brains thinks, it might be a little bit backwards. And so it's definitely not something that I am forcing anybody to do. It's just the way that I like to do it. Okay. You can answer this one. It looks like, how do the acrylics dry? I know watercolor dries later.
Yeah, acrylics, certain brands of acrylics will dry darker only because they've used a binder that's white, like Elmer's glue, that dries clear. So what you see in the wet paint is a lighter color, and as it dries, the true color comes out. However, I think Winsor Newton has put out a product that has a clear binder, so it dries very much the same color that you put it down. But to compensate for that, what I like to do is keep some of the original wet paint on my palette, and then as I see it dry and start to darken up, I'll just make a little bit of a lighter version of it and go right over the top and put a layer of lighter over top. And that helps. The cheaper the paint, the darker it and duller it dries because they put less pigment in. So if you have a really inexpensive paint that's student grade, it will dry dark and dull. Guaranteed.
Yeah. Do you use any water or medium? Yeah, I use water. I don't use medium very often in my paints because it's a slower process to mix things like that. So I'm usually just grabbing the paint tube, putting it on my palette, and using it straight like that. I will wash my brushes out occasionally. I usually dry them. So it's a minimal amount of water that gets mixed into my paints. I usually don't want to have a lot of water in there.
No. Water will actually flatten the depth of your paint. It'll spread it out more, but it'll flatten it. So if you want big, thick textures and brush marks, don't add any water at all. But if you want the paint to kind of spread out, you can add a few drops. The more drops you put in, the thinner the paint gets. So just consider what you want: thick texture or more spread.
Yeah. How do you make the brightest yellow? Ooh. I don't know. What are your thoughts, Diana?
You buy the brightest yellow because it's a primary. And then if you want it to look bright, you put a dull opposite next to it, like a dullish purple next to it. But primary yellow is bright yellow. So a bright cadmium yellow is probably as bright as you're going to get. To make it look brighter, put something dull next to it.
Yeah,
I'm looking at the painting behind you. Yeah. The painting behind you has those dull rocks behind the bright yellow, and makes the yellow look even brighter than the tube.
Yeah. Yeah, you can't really get, but I would also add, you're not going to mix a yellow any brighter than it comes out of the tube. What will make a difference is the background. If you're painting it on something dark, it might need multiple coats. And the other thing really is that yellow, you need it to be a good professional art brand of paint, not a student grade paint, because it won't have the pigment to be bright. Okay, Beverly says, why don't your paints dry up? That was a long session with no water. Yes, and you're exactly right. Both Diana and I use something called a Masterclass palette. It's a stay wet palette, and it has a sponge, or sometimes we substitute that with paper towels, and then it has a special water kind of like, I don't know, it's a type of paper that allows the water to seep through from the sponge that's underneath. And that means when you put your paint on top, the paint stays moist because it's actually wicking up the water from the sponge through that special palette paper. And that's been a real game changer for me using acrylics.
Me too. And read the directions. Some people just throw the sponge on, throw a little water on, throw the paper on, and say, my paint's still dry out. Or they just dump a whole pile of water on and say, my paint's just flood out. Read the directions, follow them, and your paints will stay wet.
Yeah. Jenny, okay, good. Leslie says, should I put gesso on a primed panel? Well, Leslie, I don't know if you should. I personally, I don't, unless I want to change the color or I feel like the gesso that's on there already is not adequate. But a good panel or canvas that you buy from a store should already have 3 coats of gesso on it usually, and usually that's enough. Now there are times when it comes and it has I've noticed that it might need a little bit more, but generally I don't say that it needs or that you should do it unless you want to change something about the texture or you want to change the color. What about you, Diana?
Yeah, I don't see any need to reprime an already primed surface. The professional surfaces you buy are good enough. And I can put a glaze on it or a wash down, but I don't need to reprime.
Okay, Catherine says, my paints are murky. I have Galleria student paints. In this process, they look terrible with the colors on the painting. What do you recommend? Yeah, Catherine, that's exactly what I was just talking about. If you have the student grade paints, your yellow is going to be it's going to be almost transparent. It's going to be very difficult to get the colors mixed well, and it's going to be very difficult to get that vibrant yellow. If you start on a white canvas, you can usually get the yellow to look okay, but anything else, it's gonna be really difficult to use. So I would recommend getting white, the color white, and the color yellow, at least bare minimum, those 2 pigments in a professional grade paint, because it's going to save you a ton of time and energy and frustration.
Absolutely. Yep.
Okay,
Yeah.
Walker says, is a traditional primary or a split primary best? CMY versus RYB. What are your thoughts on that, Diana? Or I don't know if I said versus. Maybe it's not versus.
Yeah, it is versus. Now you know what? I go with usually a simple palette. When I learned the trick of choosing just a few simple pigments, it transformed my paintings, but I don't use the same paints across the board. I will choose according to the emotion, the mood, the imagery that I want, and it isn't always according to a formula. It's just I've got a variety of reds, a variety of yellows, a variety of blues, and I know what they do and I know what I want, and so I'll pick the red, yellow, blue that I want for that painting.
Perfect. Joanne says, is there any subject that doesn't call for bold brushwork or parts of a scene? Oh, that's a good question. Now, I'm just going to give you my opinion. This is totally me. I love paintings that have a combination. I love paintings that have a little bit of detail with a lot of boldness. And so I'm trying to think of, there's a very classical, realistic painter that I love. And that's why I like it. His paintings are really, really tight, but he has these big skies. And the skies, because they're so, they make up such a large portion of the painting often. And it's just clouds and ethereal things. Then when you get into the really detailed parts of the painting, it doesn't feel like the whole painting is all the same. It's like, oh, there's these loose areas, even though it's probably not painted super loose. It's probably still, kind of painted the same way, but the subject up there is big and broad. And then the details are good. If it's all detailed, I think it's too much. That's my personal thing. So, but again, I like to have a little bit of area where you can kind of focus in on something and see maybe a little bit of small brush marks, but then I like to have more, more areas that are just kind of big and loose. So that's just my take on it. But I in terms of a subject, there could probably be something that people could make an argument for that I'm not sure. That's beyond me. I don't really know the answer to that one, Joanne.
A lot of it is just personal choice. What do you want to see on your painting? You know, do you really, I mean, you can appreciate someone's big, bold brushwork, but you want to do little refined brushwork? Fine. You might appreciate someone's detailed work, but you want to be bold? Fine. It's all, I mean, look at the work of Vincent van Gogh. Big, bold, crazy brushwork. And then you look at John Singer Sargent, detailed, refined, delicate, and yet still bold. It's all up to you. You're the artist. You figure it out.
That's very good. That's a perfect answer. Dana says, was the panel just a panel or a cradled board? It was actually one of these. Now this one I toned black, so I'll try to actually, let me grab this one that doesn't have anything on it. It might look a little weird, but it's this ultra smooth gesso panel. And again, it's just a MDF panel that's got that wood frame on it, and I love them. They're really great. So it is kind of a cradled board. Yeah.
What's up,
Peter?
We got to go quick. We have a lot of questions.
Oh, okay. We'll go rapid fire.
All right, let's do it.
All right.
If you don't use gesso and underpaint instead, do the paintings still turn out as well? Has nothing to do with what the undertone is, honestly, in my opinion. It's all about like putting it all together. Next. I noticed you use Princeton Aspens. Do you prefer them to the Princeton Dakotas? Yes, I do. But I've never used the Dakotas, so I actually don't know. Do you feel like painting a dark background first will mute the bright colors? What do you think, Diana?
Yeah. Yellow is a little transparent, as so is red. So if you paint a dark background, you're going to have to paint out the area that's bright with some white or something anyway to get those colors to be bright underneath. So,
yeah, it'll take multiple coats. Question, my colors look different because I have Liquitex heavy body. Oh, is it because I have Liquitex heavy body? Yeah, well, I mean, you might actually have the same name of a color and it might be a different pigment because the different companies use different pigments and they call them different things. So you have to check on the back. It will say, like on this one, this is golden and it says cadmium yellow light. And right there, it says PY35. So you need to get really accustomed to looking at the pigment numbers and then making sure that you have the right pigment according to that. Shauna says, brush size is used again. Okay, I used this size 20 flat, and I used something like this, which was like a number 12 flat. And I don't really think I used anything else, but I might have used a number 6 flat for a couple of a few of the small parts. They're all flats. How did you keep your paint so fluid? I think we kind of answered that already, and it's the Masters and Stay Wet palette. How do you give up the details? Diana, how do you give up the details?
You have to decide. Sometimes you just have to step away when the painting's half finished and take a breath so that you can get back to what you wanted, which is to be loose, to be fresh, to be free. If you stay with it, you might go down that detail rabbit hole and stay there until the painting is just completely overdone.
I think Diana says this in some of her lessons is like, you need to have a goal in mind when you start your painting. And if you can remember what that goal is, and that's why sometimes stepping away for a little bit is helpful. It's like, keep the goal in mind. Don't just go mindlessly and end up in a different destination. Okay, what is a value finder which was listed on the supply sheet? Okay, this is a value finder. This little thing right here. It just has all the values that you can use from white to black.
Yeah, there's a downloadable one in Wednesday's supply list. It's numbered differently than the one Jed has, but the numbers hardly matter. What matters is the values and getting the values correct.
Okay, I did not know I needed neutral grade gesso. Can I mix regular gesso with burnt umber and paint it? Yeah, you totally can, actually. Just mix it to be something somewhat light. I mean, you could even just use black and white and get something close enough. It doesn't have to be the exact same for sure, but that's a good solution.
Yep.
Okay, Suzanne says, to make the brighter green, what blue do you use? Well, the brightest green that I know how to make, I would use phthalo blue and probably like cadmium yellow light. That to me would be about the brightest green that I can make.
I call that Las Vegas green. It is so green. It looks like a showgirl's wearing.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's almost too green. I mean, there's like maybe a few paintings that I've used that straight out like that. But
Right.
It's a really bright color. But that's the brightest one.
Yeah.
How long do you spend on average on a painting? That's a great question, Laura. How do you answer that, Diana?
My very best paintings usually are the fastest because they just come off the brush. They're usually around an hour to 2 hours. My worst paintings take weeks, months, because I'm struggling, fighting.
The worst ones are
my brain.
The worst ones can take years and they never get finished.
And they never look good.
They never actually get finished. They're just never good. But I will say something. Every once in a while it happens that I have a painting that I get like, I mean, it might be like 99% done, but I don't like it. And I just sit with it and I just go like, what is the deal with this painting? And then like a year later or 2 years later, I look at it and like something pops in my head and I'm like, well, why don't I just try this? And sometimes the hard part of the painting ends up helping it become something kind of interesting. And so I have this hard time. Sometimes like I really love the paintings that just come out. I mean, they're the best, right? It just happens. But then every once in a while I have one that was a real struggle. But getting through to the end is so satisfying. Finally, you do one thing and it unlocks part of the painting. You go, oh, I see it now. Like it actually works now. And those ones are hard because sometimes I give up on them and I might even paint over them or something like that. And sometimes they need to be painted over. Sometimes they need to be discarded. But sometimes when you see it come together in the end, it's actually really satisfying. Okay, Diane says, I noticed you don't add any medium or texture. Is that something you avoid till you're more experienced? That's so funny. I mean, I'm just like, there's a couple different ways to read what you said. I noticed you don't add any medium or texture. I don't intend to ever get more experience and use more medium or texture. If I don't know if that's the way that you meant that, but I think that's more personal preference again. Like Dana said earlier about, what color should you paint your background or, all these different things. If you love seeing texture, like big texture, you can add, those gels and those different mediums to your paint that really make it have volume, more even than just straight out of the tube. And you can get all sorts of interesting textures and crackles. And, Diana's done more with that than I have for sure. It really comes down to what's the painting call for and what is your vision for the painting, right? Because, I mean, there's a lot of reasons to use a medium. And then like sometimes for me, I haven't done it that much, so I don't think in ways of that. But every once in a while I do. Every once in a while I see a scene. For me, it's often a sky that I think, how am I going to blend this? I don't want it to be like brush against brush stroke. I want it to be more blended. And then I think, okay, maybe I'll use some slow drying medium for this. And so it's a unusual thing for me, but it does happen occasionally, and it's always specific to what is the goal. Okay, Peter. How do you keep your paints from getting too muddy, Diana?
I lay them out, and you lay them out the same way. I lay them out with my primaries in the corners, my white in a corner, and I mix in a color wheel. And I wipe my brush. I don't use a lot of water on my brush, and I don't let the paint get up in the ferrule of the brush. And I just wipe my paint off the tip of the brush before I mix in, and it keeps it from being muddy. And it's painting that transformed my life. Painting, mixing my colors in a color wheel. I'll show a little more about that on Wednesday, but just laying them out and arranging them so that you can remix whenever you want to, and not just swirl a big pile of something all over your palette, but keep it in a little balls, keep it in little spaces, green in the green spot, purple in the purple spot. It works out.
Yeah, and Diana, I learned that from you, so I give you all the credit for that. Karen says, I missed the beginning. Where do I go to watch the beginning? And you will go to radiantartchallenge.com. I will see if I can pull that up here again as a oh boy. Okay, well here, I'll show you here real quick. radiantartchallenge.com. If you can see that there, it's just where we have all the reference photos, all the supply lists, all the homework instructions, everything like that. This painting would be fun to do with a palette knife. You're right.
It would be.
Yeah. Diana uses palette knives more than I do, but honestly, this is one of those kinds of scenes that I think would be kind of fun to break out a palette knife. Because I had that huge brush, this brush is pretty big. And this canvas is not super big. So I felt like I was able to get a good enough, like big, wide brush mark with this that it didn't even cross my mind, to be honest, to use a palette knife. But it would be fun. Yeah, I agree. Okay, does it bother you that ultramarine blue is shiny? I don't know if I noticed that. What about you, Diana?
No, I think some brands put the binder in that just creates an overall, shininess that's the same. Or you can use a satin or matte varnish when you're done and just make it all the same. So I never worry about that at all in my, I just varnish and with a
I think
satin.
I think that's totally what I'd say too, is that every once in a while I might notice a little tiny different sheen, or in the past, maybe if I was using different brands of paint, but I've never worried about it because of the varnish. And in the end, if you just varnish the whole painting, it'll all look the same.
Yeah.
Do you ever use watercolor paper? No, I don't. Personally, I don't.
No, me either.
Kimbra says, what size canvas and color are you toning for the Wednesday and Friday class? Mine will be exactly the same, 12 by 12, and it will be on a neutral gray. What about you, Diana, for
Mine's
Wednesday?
12 by 16, leave it white because we're going to put on a fluid underwash that we're going to mess around with. If it's dry, it won't work. So just leave it white till we get going, and I'll show you what to do.
Okay. Susan says, with your process of mixing paint as you go with little cleaning of the brush, how do you keep it from becoming muddy? Kind of like Diana said, it's usually based on just not mixing, keeping some of the places unique on the palette, like where you're mixing the intermediate secondary colors. And then for me, if I wipe my brush off with a paper towel, even though I'm not, rinsing it with water, it still gets off enough of the paint to make, and I don't know, I'm not sure if I can really show you this or not, but if you can see the painting, it's not like there's actually intermixed colors in there, so you can tell that the brush was not completely clean every time, that I was grabbing a color, then grabbing another color, and sometimes like half the brush would have a little bit of orange on it, and then the other half would have mostly yellow on it, and the one brush mark would have multiple colors on it. But I think, I don't think colors become muddy the other answer I'd give is I don't think you get muddy colors from when you use a primary palette as much. So I just think the colors work together really well and they don't look muddy.
Yeah, I think I agree with that, with the mud. With the limited palette, it all goes together.
Yeah. Okay, is there a rule of thumb for choosing the color for your underpainting, or is it just an intuitional, spontaneous decision? What are your thoughts, Diana?
I use a color that is not going to irritate me when I get going. Like if I use a vibrant purple and then I'm fighting that vibrant purple with all my values and colors on top, I made a bad choice. I like something, that will add to the painting if it shows through in little bits rather than detract from the painting.
Yeah.
And that's the only rule I have. Just don't do something that'll be hard to cover up.
Yeah, I agree. Shane says, it is interesting that people want to follow exactly down to the color of gray for the canvas prime. Should students take a little more freedom? As I teach, student don't paint freely. Well, I think that's a really good point, Shane, that I think that it's a mindset that a lot of us have a hard time getting out of. And so I would love to be able to say to everyone, don't worry about it. Don't worry if it doesn't look exactly like mine. Don't worry if you don't use the same colors as I use. Don't worry about it. Like, your brush doesn't have to be the same. Your paints don't have to be the same.
Right.
Because you're not the same. None of us are the exact same, and it's okay. But I think that it's okay also. Like, I think that while I would love that to just be able to be transmitted to everyone instantaneously, I think that the reality is that it's a slower process because we're ingrained with perfectionism. We're ingrained with, you didn't do it right. You colored outside the lines. What is that? Some voice, either our own or from people in the past or from teachers or from, we've got all these different things that kind of come in and tell us if you didn't do it perfectly, it's not good enough, And so I think that it's a real battle for a lot of us to believe that we can be free in our own choices. And if I was telling you, I'd go I painted on gray, but it doesn't matter. You can paint it blue, you can paint it black, you can paint it on white. It doesn't matter. You're going to learn something no matter what you do. Right. And you will find, I like this better than that. So it's a really good point. I think that there's a process for people, and usually it comes the more that they paint, they usually get a little bit more like, okay. And then seeing somebody else do something differently and then trying it different ways. And then you go like, okay, you finally come to realize, it really doesn't have to be the same way. Like Diana paints different than Jed. Jed paints different than so-and-so. And they all paint differently, and they all kind of come together, and their paintings look okay. So I guess it's not just one way.
Every artist's painting should look different. And I like to tell people, I'm not teaching you how to paint. I'm showing you how I paint, and I'm letting you cherry pick all the best parts for yourself, retrofit them to the way you want your paintings to look, because you're unique. Your painting should not look like mine, and they should not look like Jed's. Eventually, they should look like your heart, and we should be able to see what you see. We want to see you, your vision, and just cherry pick the good stuff out of what we're telling you. We're not teaching you how to paint. We're just showing you ways that we paint and ideas that we have.
I love how you said that, Diana. You said, I'm not teaching you how to paint. I'm showing you how I paint. And then you can take the parts of it that you want and apply it to yours. That is absolutely beautiful. Okay, what brand are you using? I'm imagining that you're thinking about my bracelets here. These are, I'm just Yeah, people are like, Jed really is clueless if he thinks I'm talking about his bracelets. I'm trying to grab. Let's see. I have every color. I have every brand of paint pretty much that there is. I primarily use Winsor Newton. I also use Golden. I mean, I have Liquitex. I have Utrecht in there, but and so honestly, there are times when I've run out of a color. Like usually I use Winsor Newton, but there have been times recently when I've run out of the Winsor Newton color and I go grab the Golden version of that color and I use it. So I just find that the professional grade paints are definitely. My goodness, I didn't even see the paint there. I was making a joke about something. I just read what brand are you using. I didn't even read the paint there. That's so funny. I must be tired or something. Yeah. Anyways, Diana, you used Golden for the longest time.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Somebody, some wonderful person out there gave me gallons of Golden acrylic paint when I first started acrylic painting. Filled my van up with gallon jugs, big, heavy-bodied, and I fell in love with them. I still use them, and I really like the company. The company is owned by the employees, and so I'm
That's cool.
kind of loyal to them. I like them. They're expensive, but they work well.
Golden's a great one. Okay, in kindergarten, my teacher made me give up the easel because I was just enjoying the paint color shapes. And she said I wasn't painting anything.
Fire that lady.
Yeah, fire her. But Joanne, we're really, yeah, you don't know how many times that I've talked to people and I've heard stories that are kind of similarly sad, where they just loved, painting or art or drawing or whatever it was. And they were discouraged by someone along the way. And, it's kind of sad because that person obviously did not understand the joy of creativity and that, you don't have to do it inside the lines. So We're sorry, but we're also super thankful that you are here because you can overcome whatever that did. You can go like, nope, this is your place where you can just have fun. You can just be free and splash paint around, and it does not need to look like a sunflower even. I'm giving you permission. It can look like whatever you want it to look like. Okay, Judy says, is there a difference with brands that are heavy paint, some heavier than others? What are your thoughts, Diana? Oh, your mic went off. Your mic is off. Yep. Okay, I'll answer while you're getting it back. I've noticed that some are a little bit heavier than others. They're usually pretty similar, but they are like Utrecht is really thick. I've noticed it's thicker maybe than some of the other ones, but they're usually fairly similar. Like Golden and Liquitex and Utrecht, they're pretty similar. Winsor Newton is a little bit thinner, I feel like. And maybe that's oh, there we go. Diana's back.
Got it. Yeah. You answered it. It's fine.
Next question. Can you paint acrylic over gouache? Oh, you answer that. I don't know.
Never done it. I know you shouldn't do it over oil. I bet you can because you can paint acrylic over watercolor, but I would worry about the longevity. So give it a try, test it out. But I don't know. That's a question for a sciencey person.
Yeah, my only thought with that is I think you could potentially because they're both water-based, so I can kind of see it working. The hesitation I have is that gouache, you need to frame under glass. Acrylic, you don't need to frame under glass. And the gouache, you can get wet and you can still mess with it. So if you had like parts of the painting that were acrylic on top, and then you had parts that were gouache showing, I feel like you might be in a real tricky situation. You need to frame it under glass or something like that.
Yeah.
Okay. Kelly says, I got an A in my end of year exams in art, and my art teacher suggested I didn't deserve that grade by saying, you got an A? They must have changed the grading criteria. Stop creating for 25 years.
Ouch. That hurts. It would be hard to get that person's voice out of my head, but job well done to be here. And every time you hear that voice, tell her to get lost. Beat it. The A doesn't mean a thing, or the F. What means a thing is your creativity, and that's what got squished. So banish that voice today.
Yeah, man. It's also kind of interesting how it was your art teacher who like said that, even though it was your art exam. I don't know. That's just kind of wild. Anyway, we're sorry about that as well. And we're really glad that you're here. And, you know, we don't have to like, I mean, I actually think that sometimes that kind of thing can be a little bit of a motivating factor, right? But I've also found that motivation, I mean, what I mean is like, I had somebody like judge my art at a show once, and I knew like, man, the only reason that they just don't like acrylics. Everything that was oils was like, oh, they all won these awards, and mine, even though I mean, I know I'm a little bit biased, but I'm also like fairly good at like looking at art and going like, yeah, I think my art lines up in this range here. And it was like, it all got voted like way down by this one judge. And it made me it made me mad. And I had this chip on my shoulder, but you know what I did? I was like, okay, yeah, guess what? Guess who's going to win the next time I come to this competition? You know, like, and I just set out to like win and compete as good as I could. And it gave me motivation. But what I found is that even, you know, to just kind of prove somebody wrong. But the best motivation is actually environment. It's a greater way to change, you know, it's like just by being surrounded by people that actually encourage you and actually challenge you and help you grow. And so anyways, that's why we're so pumped that you're here, because I think that this is the kind of thing that will help you more than even just that kind of like, oh, I'll show you. Do you always do background first, or is it just for the lesson so we can paint more freely? Well, I usually do the foreground first, and I think that's what you meant. And it's just because I like the way that it looks. But every once in a while, I had a painting here the other day that I did the background first, and every once in a while for teaching, I'll actually do it the other way, just so that I know it's a lot easier for a lot of people. Next question. Oh, Peter, we done?
I think we're getting towards the end there. It's almost 1 for our time.
Okay.
The questions are slowing down quite a bit. A lot of repeat questions. So I think
Okay.
Let's
I
get
see
this
this
last
question.
one.
I want to answer this one. Have you
Yeah,
ever
go for
used
it.
golden open paints? And yes, I have. Diana, have you?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I've used them a couple times. I like them in dry, hot, arid places, because that's where they're like the most effective for me. What was the other question that you had there, Peter?
Other question. I don't answer this if you want. How should the process be modified when painting a mural?
Oh man, I mean that's a game. Yeah,
Roller. I don't know.
Yeah, actually, that'd be a question for Justin, Peter.
Yeah, it would.
Justin's done a lot of murals. I've never actually painted a mural. I've painted, the largest painting I've done is, let me think. I think it was 10 feet long, but it was a triptych. So it was 4 feet tall by 10 feet that way. Diana, you've painted bigger. I can't remember. You told me that you painted
I've painted big. It was on a canvas, but I've painted a 15-foot 3 5x5 adjoining panel.
That's
So yeah, that was my biggest piece. I still have some. I was just rearranging them yesterday. I still have a bunch of 6-foot paintings, 4-foot by 6-foot paintings I did earlier on.
So what would you say if you were painting a large painting? Because that is a question that people have. Like, how would you take the process that you normally use and apply it to a really big painting?
A huge, like a house paintbrush, a giant, big paintbrush.
And a lot
really,
of paint.
that's it. And a lot. I mean, that's where the gallons of paint came in. A lot of paint.
I think
Just
that's
gotta
probably
go
the thing people underestimate is how much paint it takes to cover a big like panel or canvas or wall or whatever it is. Like you need a lot of paint. Especially like if you like bold brush strokes, if you like that idea, it's so much easier to do that on a small painting than it is a big painting. Because like Diana is saying, even if you have your biggest brush, if the painting is really big, by the time you get done and you look at it and you stand back, it's going to look like relatively small brush strokes. So you have to get exponentially bigger brushes, everything like that.
Right. And my easel lifted things up. I had to go up and down with the easel. But the other thing was to use my shoulder, not my wrist and arm, and to stand way back so that I could use the pivoting of my body to paint the painting, not just this, but the whole body had to be used. You know, your stance, the way you turn, everything lent to big brush strokes.
Yeah.
It's awesome. Well, you guys, thank you so much for being here, for sticking with us all the way till almost 1 o'clock our time.
Amazing.
We are thankful for you, and we love you guys. We believe in you. We're proud of you. And honestly, let's go prove any doubter wrong. You are creative. You are courageous. And we'll see you guys Wednesday. All right?
Yeah. Can't wait.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Love you guys. See you Wednesday.